Well, hello and welcome everybody to the new health conversation. For all the censors out there, we totally respect the community guidelines. The reason we tell you this every single time is just to let you know that we absolutely adhere to one rule, and that is anything that we present is available to the general public, anybody viewing our podcast, free. It's in the public domain. We only deal from peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. Therefore, we're not making any claims because it's in the public domain and it's already been vetted by the top medical doctors and researchers in the entire world. The problem I understand that you're all facing is the fact you get a lot of people on here that are making claims and they don't have one shred of medical evidence behind it. We only deal with medical proof. I've written 4 best-selling books with some of the top doctors in the world, did over 20 shows on public broadcasting and over 1,500 live lectures around the world at hospitals, universities, and even in towns. And so we're very, very cognizant of our reputation, and our reputation is that we give people the truth, we give people the real news, and then they can do with it what they want. There's nothing to buy on our website, for example. It's only medical proof. So, well, hello, everybody. A lot of people are out and about today. If you're on the East Coast, I know it's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's see, it's around 2 in the afternoon, I think, in the UK and Germany and all these people all around the world. So, at any rate, let's talk about what we want to talk about today. What we want to talk about today is how in the world did she lose 60 pounds in 90 days with no exercise, no calorie counting. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to emphasize, a couple of questions for the audience. One, if you were going to lose, say, 20 pounds, let alone 60, how long would you give yourself? Pick any diet, any trainer, any system you want. But more importantly, does anyone know the definition of a calorie? Because you see there, she lost weight without counting a single calorie. So 60 pounds in 90 days, and she lost weight without counting a single calorie. Does that interest you? Are you curious? Do you believe in science? Because we only present peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. We don't give you opinions. We give you the facts. Now, you may not like the facts, because what we're going to show you is that if you're counting calories, well, everybody is for the most part, right? 2/3 of you, whatever diet you think you're on that's going to work. This is the medical proof, right? I mean, we got proof from Harvard Medical School. We got proof from New England Journal of Medicine. We have proof from Medicare. We have many other studies, and they're all saying the same thing now, that they were totally wrong. This whole calorie in, calorie out thing is a total disaster. Right now, as we sit here today, 80% of you are overweight, 50% are obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic. Does anyone really think that's working? And yet the majority of you, you're going to come on and jump off because, I understand everything's got to be fast. But do you want a real solution? Would you like to know how she will do it? She averaged 5 pounds a week for 3 months. And by the way, that's the daughter of a friend of mine, so we didn't Photoshop it. Look at her face, look at her arms, look at her midsection. Now you can think it's Photoshopped or AI, so go with that. Go with your skepticism and go on a diet, and you'll remember that I told you that 2/3 of you are going to gain more weight than you lost. Now that may make you mad. You may think you're on the right track. Now here's the thing that the researchers found. No, every diet worked until it didn't. The people who invented this, and it's not a diet, there's no products here. So don't think there's some gimmick on my part. Oh, buy this lotion, potion, motion, magic pill shot. No, no, no. This is based on 40 years, 100 studies on human beings, human trials, not on monkeys and rats and mice and whatever. And they proved that what we were doing as far as counting calories is done, finished, it's obsolete. As a matter of fact, we provide you with a free website with the medical proof. There's no gimmicks or tricks. If you go there, we're not going to contact you. The only way you can contact us, and you get a free coach. How much is the consultation with the coach? 0. How much is the coaching? Is coached. This is our way of paying it forward. But the researchers who invented this, they have no products. They don't have a company. They're scientists. And so instead of a celebrity endorsement or an athlete or somebody coming on, and they're great people out there on social media. I see them all the time. But the problem is that they're telling you things that they have no basis in medical fact. They have opinions. I see medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists. Look around. If you're lucky enough to go on vacation, go to the beach. Look at America. There you go. This is a disaster. And it's even worse because John Hopkins Medical School came out and said study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese. That's not an opinion on our part, okay? So let's talk about what they did. So let's go. I want to show you just a couple more quick pictures. Kristen, she only had 30 pounds to lose. The reason I like this so much is she only had 30 pounds to lose. She lost 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days. By the way, none of these pictures I'm showing you, no one was allowed to exercise. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. So if you're tuning in late, this is not a diet. It's not about counting calories. It's not 10,000 steps. It's none of this stuff that's not working long term. You can't believe. In 1964, about 10-15% of the population was overweight or obese. And they're saying by 2030, it's going to be 86% overweight and obese. Does anybody think it's actually working? We've been let me be kind here. We've been misled at a minimum. And I don't think on purpose. I really believe that those people that you're following believe what they're saying. But if you look at the medical proof, it's astounding that we haven't woken up to the fact that, you know what, calorie counting, it doesn't work. We need a new alternative. That's what these researchers did. And I promise, give me about another minute and I'll come back and I'll explain to you exactly what they did. All right? Now, this is one of the more amazing pictures. This woman, Julie, 35 pounds in 37 days, and that's without exercise. I'd love anyone to comment on that. Hi, Momo Moore. Hello, user. Hello, Erin. Hello, Rosie. And if I'm not calling your name, it's only because I'm concentrating so hard. I know I have a very short time window to begin to get your attention. We don't have anything to sell you, first of all, so put that away. We don't have any lotions, potions, pills, etc. This protocol is based on new, let's call them foods, and complete new ways of consuming food. That's what it consists of. I'm going to explain it to you in a moment. But the last one I want to show you, you always hear you can't lose weight fast if you're older, right? We'll tell that to this gentleman. So Curtis here lost 40.8 pounds, 52 inches in 30 days. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides to 242 to 124. I'm sure the skepticism meter in your brains is going crazy. This is BS. It's not real. It's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast. Well, if it was, first of all, on a diet, this would never happen. But secondly, the reason it's safe is it's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies where they measured water and they measured lean muscle along with a lot of other things. So instead of him losing any lean muscle with no exercise, he gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. Because see, the key to life has nothing to do with counting calories. As a matter of fact, I'll ask again, I always ask my audience, can anybody give me the definition of a calorie? Just pause for a moment and say, no, wait a minute. I'm going on a diet, I'm counting calories, and now you're going to learn your body has no idea what a calorie is. When you're hungry, you're not hungry for calories. You hear this, well, I didn't get enough calories today. No, that has nothing to do with it. You're alive because of three things: air, water, and nutrition. So when you go on a diet, what you're doing, you're reducing, whether you think you or not, you're basically reducing the amount of food you're consuming. But why do we eat food? Well, it tastes good, I know, that's part of it, but it's the only way we get nutrition. Now, if you want to be alive, you might want to get nutrition along with water and air. I know I'm being silly, but it's not silly at all. That's what's going on. It sounds too simple, but the ramifications of the lifestyles we've created, we're now the United States, North America is considered the most overfed, undernourished society in the world. We spend 4 times the rest of the world on sick care, we call it, and yet we have about the 100th outcome. So it's not about money. It's not about, we have the best doctors, we got the best medicine, and I'm not against doctors, and I'm not against drugs, etc. But we work in conjunction with, not a substitute for. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, preventing any medical diseases. Only thing we're sharing with you is the actual medical proof. There it is. I mean, if you're a diabetic or know someone's a diabetic, ask them about their A1C going from 8.4 to 6.4 in 30 days. But he lost 10 pounds a week, everybody. That's not a misprint. Now, if you think it's fake, then you're on the wrong podcast. And come on, let's get some more taps on the screen and get some more likes going. Look, I know what's happening. It's like you're shielded. It's like you're blinded by this plethora of information, calories in, calories out. It's paleo this week. It's keto. It's time-restricted eating. It's the Cornish diet. It's the zone diet. It's count your macros. It's carb recycling. It's Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Zone, on and on and on and on and on. The evidence is overwhelming. I mean, when you got a Harvard Medical School telling you, stop counting calories. Listen to what Harvard Medical School said about counting calories. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. I know we all said that. Lower the calories, you're going to lose weight. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose about a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. They go on to say, and then I promise I'll tell you exactly how this works. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. It's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Stop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate. It was inner food, not how much food we're consuming. Now, I'm going to get critics on here, and they're going to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Listen, and I'm not telling to impress anybody. I've done 20 shows on public broadcasting. I wrote 4 best-selling books from the biggest medical doctors in the world. I've worked with the top oncologists and molecular biologists and geneticists and nutraceutical chemists and researchers in the world. It's not my research. So when people get mad at me, they're getting mad at the science. Now, maybe they don't like the science. I can't control that. The science doesn't care. It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't pick sides. It just is. And this is the only protocol in the world with 10. What did they do to lose weight? Please. Okay, EJ, I promise I'm going to show you in 1 second. All right, everybody. So everybody's bored with me already. So let's go. Let's go to show you exactly what they did. Now, what I'm going to explain to you will be simple, but yet you'll think, oh, this can't possibly work. All right. Well, who invented it? Not me. It was invented, listen to me carefully, everyone, by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. Not somebody on Facebook giving you an opinion or on TikTok or on social media in general, right? And they had done 40, these top researchers, rated top, had done 40 years, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet out there, and they came to a conclusion. 3 things were happening on all the diets they ever analyzed. 1, everybody lost weight initially. Hell, you could lose, I'm serious, you could lose weight on the Dunkin' Donut diet. And I like Dunkin' Donuts, by the way, but that wouldn't be the diet I would go on. But the problem with that is the kind of weight you're losing. Every one of you on whatever diet you're on right now, it's going to shock you. When the researchers measured, because they did water, muscle, blood, stool, urine, fat analysis, but muscle and water. Number 1, these people lost no water at all. And secondly, instead of losing any lean muscle, which is why diets they say it's unhealthy to lose more than a pound a week on a diet. I agree. This is not a diet. She gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. All these people did. And I'll explain to you that in a moment. So they said the third thing that was happening is 2/3 of the people after 40 years, they all were gaining. Not only did they gain all their weight back, they ended up weighing more than when they started. It's like, what the hell? Why did you go on a diet in the first place? That's where you are right now. Now, that may make you really mad at me. It's okay. Again, the science doesn't care. We're providing you right above our head there in blue, the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website for the world to see. If you go there, we won't contact you. I can't believe how few people take advantage. It sounds too good to be true, like there's some gimmick. Like you're going to go to the New Health Conversation, we're going to call you. We will not contact you. It's for you, it's for humanity to say this is the solution that we desperately need. It's a crisis. Do you think how in the world, do you think our healthcare system, according to Johns Hopkins Medical School, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese in 4.5 years? Do you think that's going to work? You think your healthcare costs are high now? Do you know that 25% of the federal budget for healthcare, we're spending $4.5 trillion with the T on healthcare. $1.5 trillion is what's called by metabolic syndrome, which 92% of you have. If you have 3 of these 5 factors, if you're overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, or high triglycerides, you're considered metabolic unhealthy. It's 25% of the budget, and yet it's complete lifestyle disease. I mean, this is insane. And what do we keep doing? The new diet this week. Oh, it's doctor recommended, or it's an athlete, or it's the Kardashians or whoever, what a diet they're on. But we have to at some point come and say, wait a minute. What's going wrong? Going wrong is that we're counting calories. Again, I'd love for anybody, give me the definition of a calorie. Does anybody know what a calorie is? Why are you counting calories? I'm being serious. Why? Now, this probably makes you mad. I know I do 4 or 5 of these. I try to do 4 or 5 a day, and my voice holds out because the message has got to get out there to the world. First to you. This is not about losing the weight. That's the least important part of it, as you're going to learn in a moment. So what did they do? I know, Peter, shut up. You're talking too much. No, I'm not. It's my podcast, and no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm here to serve all of you. So here's what the researchers figured out. They have abandoned calorie counting to create this. They said, no calorie counting. We're not going to give people calorie counts. We're going to give them serving sizes. I'll explain that to you in a moment. So 30% of the food that you would consume, that she consumed, you actually would buy from your grocery store. So if you took whatever you spent last month on food, take 30% of those dollars, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to get a list of foods, proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, vegetables, even salad dressings from the researchers, not from me, not from some, even with all due respect, a medical doctor is not a nutritional researcher, or let alone a human physiologist. By the way, a physiologist is totally different than, say, a nutritionist, because they study what the nutrients do once they enter the body. It's very rare. You very rarely see a nutritionist who's also a physiologist. These are physiologists, okay? So they said, what we want to do is this. Is it possible? Because it was a theory when they started. Could we give you less food but increase the amount of nutrition by finding foods with high, what they call nutritional density? But they picked them for you. And then they created the serving sizes, like how many ounces of protein, like if you were having vegetables, is it a third or a half a cup, depending on what the vegetable is. It's a long list of things you can eat, but they're based on serving sizes, not calories. So you're not guessing. Unless you want to become a physiologist and a nutraceutical chemist, I don't think you know exactly when you're eating what you should be doing based on our evidence. I know I did. When I first did this, I thought, how is this going to work? Well, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. She really lost 21 pounds and 38 inches in a month doing what I'm about to share with you. But remember, 30% of of her grocery bill from last month, she spent this month, but on these picked foods that the researchers picked out. The other 70%, here's really what made it work. By the way, we don't sell you anything. The researchers don't sell you. It's no product. So when you keep saying, what's the product, if anybody does, there's no product, there's food. But the other 70% of the food came from other researchers who'd spent 20 years literally physically going to areas in the world like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Now, why in the heck would they do that? Because they wanted to find foods, in some cases, in the blue zones where people living to be 100 years old. So it wasn't just a question that they brought back. Basically, essentially what they found was large amounts of nutrition in smaller quantities of food. And that was the basis of what the theory that they were going under, right? Then they invented, based on these new foods, because see, they tried it with regular food, with like organic, it never worked, because the food in North America, shocking maybe to most of it, it's all but nutritionally bankrupt. The nutritional level of food, it just continues to plummet. Yes, we've created huge amounts of food. We're the most overfed and undernourished. Notice the word nourished in the world, according to the experts, not me. I'm just giving you the scientific background. So the 70% of the food she consumed came from these faraway places where they had huge amounts of nutrients, or nutrients that don't exist, for example, in North America. Got it? Now, the second thing that they did was they created, they got the foods. 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started with the world's, these exotic foods or high nutrient foods from around the world for breakfast. No food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner from these nutrient-dense foods around the world. That's called protein pacing, and they ended up getting a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, of a new way of eating. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what they did. The patent office recognized this was a major breakthrough, and they had the medical evidence to back it up. Then 2 days a week, as part of protein pacing, they had her do something that sounds crazy at first when I explain it to you. Intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, absolutely no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. She was eating every hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, so she was fasting with nutrition. But the key to it was this timing, was the spacing. Do you know that diabetics on this, no one had an insulin spike? And normally you hear, oh my God, if I ate that much of it, having insulin spikes. No, the reverse was true. We had people weighing 300-400 pounds. They weren't hungry. One thing I wanted, if I do anything, I want to show you that your body has no idea what a calorie is. So how could you be hungry for calories? You're hungry for nutrition. You just didn't know it until maybe this moment. So in a month's time, when they measured, I just explained it to you, they measured water, muscle mass, blood, stool, urine, and fat. All of them, lost no water weight. So don't say it was water weight. It wasn't. No, they measured that. And instead of losing any lean muscle, which I just told you 25 to 40% of what you're losing on the crazy diet you're on right now is your lean muscle mass. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. Now you would think the weight loss is the big deal. No. We look at the weight loss, I mean, that's a given. It's like we don't even consider that. The medical changes were astounding. Hunger came down 41% in a month. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down dramatically in 30 days. And for the first time in history, they measured inflammation. In case you didn't know, is the underlying cause of every disease out there. It came down by 25% in 30 days. So all these people, and I get lots of critics on my TikTok account, and they come on here and they want to argue with me, and it's all about calories in, calories out. It's like, I don't want to call them names, but it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. The medical evidence is overwhelming that whatever diet you're on now, by counting calories, you're doomed to failure, and 2/3 are going to weigh more than you started. Now, that may make you mad. I'm sorry if it does. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you. We offer you free coaching. It's a free medical website where you can go and see the proof. There's nothing to buy there. There's not one thing to buy on that website. The only thing on there is the medical proof that could change your lives. This is not about you fitting in your skinny jeans, because the other thing you need to be aware of, we all now suffer from this new medical condition called TDOS. The T is for toxicity, the D is for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, S is for stress. Now, if you don't think you're toxic, then you didn't see where they're finding microplastics in our brain and in our coronary arteries. What else are we storing in our body? Herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and all these other things that are coming down the pipe. So what's happening to us is we ingest this stuff that we can't avoid. I don't care if you think you're in shape and you're thin, that you're not toxic, you're not living in reality, okay? What the body does to protect us, first, it presents the chemical to the liver. Now they're saying that 25% of us, because the liver is so overwhelmed trying to deal with the toxins in our world, 25% of you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, not from drinking alcohol, but from the toxins inside your liver. So once the liver can't handle the chemicals anymore, then the chemicals are free for a moment, but the body has one last shot. It takes that chemical and pushes it inside your fat cells, specifically what it's called your visceral fat. Your visceral fat is the fat around your organs, like it's everywhere, but especially around the abdomen, the stomach, and the waist area. You can see her stomach on day 1. Let me get my head out of the way. Look at that in her hips, and then look at her on day 30. That's with no exercise, no gimmicks, no photoshopping, no, someone said, oh, well, the light's different. No, the light isn't different. That's total nonsense. Just because it flies in the face of what they're all locked into. See, if they admit that this works, then what are they going to do in their practices? They're going to calories in, calories out? It doesn't work, everybody. I'm still waiting for anybody to tell me what's the definition of a calorie. Do any of you know? By the way, she's kept the weight off for 8 or 9 years. This protocol is called R2M, race 2 maintenance. So the research is back to the chemicals that you're storing in your fat cells. They did blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle analysis and proved that this protocol was assisting the body in removing chemicals from your body. That's the number one reason to do this, is detox. Now, you can ignore it. You can think you're going to continue down your merry little way on keto or paleo or Mediterranean or this ridiculous time-restricted eating, which is nothing more than a low-calorie diet. No matter what they're telling you, it's total nonsense. All these programs, the dead end, the head-on collision they're about to have, is with the reality of the fact when you lower the amount of food you're consuming, forget calories because your body has no idea what it is. You're lowering nutrition. And when you lower nutrition, your brain senses there's not enough fuel to run your organs to keep us alive, like your heart, like your lungs, like your kidneys, liver, etc. So the brain doesn't have a choice, and you don't have a choice. It slows down your metabolism. Absolutely slows down your metabolism, not up for debate. But also what it's doing to you to make you unhealthy is it also impedes your own immune system. Yeah, You're going on a diet to lose weight and you're making yourself unhealthy. Again, I know this is making people mad and they're thinking look, I'm only dealing you with the medical proof. The medical proof is clear. Diets by counting calories, we need to abandon it totally. This is the solution. And there's no products to buy here. These researchers, they don't have any products. They're scientists. But they spent 40 years trying to figure out, okay, why are the numbers of people overweight and obese just exploding? I mean, do you think they've exploded? Because in 1964, 15% of the population was overweight. And now they're saying in 4 years, 4.5 years, 86% of us are going to be overweight. What is that? Almost a 600% increase in overweight and obese. And that's what I'm saying. Somehow we got into this dilemma. They started counting calories about 100 years ago. But every year, people getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know that's going on. This could stop it. I'm not going to use the C word because I would get in trouble for that. Okay, it's not. But it's sustainable. Adriana Mark. Okay, so let me explain to you now. We got a bunch of new people. We have 136 likes. Can we get some more taps on that screen? That's my fuel to excite me to keep going. Now, what did they do? Well, first thing they did, they abandoned calorie counting altogether, and the researchers said, we need to come up with a new program. Because hell, and by the way, Andriana, these are the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world who invented this. And they said calorie counting is ridiculous. It has never worked. They did 100 studies on humans over 40 years, and every diet, 2/3 of the people gained more weight than they lost. So they finally gave it up. They said, we need a new approach based on really a real simple principle. We're going to give you less food, but we're going to go find foods that have large amounts of nutrition, nothing to do with calories. So they put a grocery list together, which you would get. Remember, you're not buying anything from us, and you're not buying anything from the researchers, all right? You're buying directly from your grocery store. About 30% of what you bought last month, you'd end up buying this month, because the serving sizes, not calories, they're giving you serving sizes, are going to be much smaller than what you're used to. But don't worry about that, because you're not going to be hungry, because your body never was hungry for calories in the first place. By giving you enough nutrition, which they've calculated, you won't be hungry, okay? That's number one. So in addition, only 30% of what she consumed was from the grocery store. So the other 70% of the budget left that you would spend goes towards these exotic foods from other researchers who had spent 20 years literally going to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, to find these foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small quantities of food. That's what they used. Now, keep in mind, these nutrients from around the world were in such massive amounts that that's why they limited people to smaller portions of regular food, because they were able to support it. Now, this is not a pill you take. There's no products, it's food. So now you've got 30% of the food from the grocery store, 70% from the exotic foods around the world, and then they created, based on these high nutrient foods, one new way of eating called protein pacing. And what's that mean? It means 5 days a week she had 4 meals a day. She started with these nutrient-dense foods from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, for breakfast, no food from the grocery store. So she was starting her day out with this large amount of nutrition in very small amounts of food. Lunch from the grocery store, again, from serving sizes, nothing to do with calories. Dinner from the serving sizes from the grocery store. And a fourth meal after dinner from these exotic foods from around the world, or these nutrient-dense foods, okay? That's called protein pacing. And they got a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, on this new way of eating. That's how impressed the Patent Office was with this. Then 2 days a week, as part of this, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these nutrient-dense foods from around the world. But this time, they had her and everybody eating 8 times a day. They were eating every hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, if you're a diabetic and worried about insulin spikes, there were no insulin spikes. People that weighed 300 and 400 pounds weren't hungry. Again, I want to get across to you, on a diet, the reason you're starving, you're actually stimulating a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin tells you you're hungry. Leptin shuts off when you're full. It's like it turns it off. Do you know when you go on a diet, you actually stimulate ghrelin, you're making it, that's why you're so starving on these diets. But the thing you're starving for is not calories. The thing you're starving for is nutrition. So the fact that she could get the nutrients in very small amounts of food 8 times a day, intermittent nutritional fasting, that's what happened. In a month's time, they measured water, no water weight loss, and lean muscle. With no exercise, Adriana, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass in 30 days. You see the results. It's not fake. She lost, Adriana, if you wanted to, I'm not saying you do. I have no idea who you are. But if you wanted to lose 20 pounds, how long would you give yourself? Pick any diet, any gym, any trainer, anybody you want to go with. How long would it take you? And again, what kind of weight are you actually losing? Because all the studies say that 25 to 40% of what you lose on any diet, listen to me, everyone, is your lean muscle mass. I mean, study after study says stop counting calories. Here's one right here titled, Why You Shouldn't Count Calories. Okay? And then there's more to this. I'm gonna come back to it, but I just want to give you a reference point. What they said is our researchers reviewed studies, and while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse, they said, 2/3 of people who try to count and restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. So you're literally going on a diet, 2/3 of you, to gain weight. I'm sure that makes you really mad. But wouldn't you rather have someone tell you the truth? Do you want me to sugarcoat it and say, well, no, you can kind of count those calories and watch your carbs and do macro counting? And none of it works. None of it. And to prove the point even more, there's another big study in the Journal of the American Medical. Let me finish up on this, and then I'll come back to it. I'm sorry. I keep skipping around. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight, because in a month's time, hunger went down 4 in these patients. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically. And for the first time ever, they measured inflammation, which is the underlying cause of every disease out there. It's never been measured before. I mean, it's been measured, but there was never any impact until now. It came down 25% in a month. But the biggest reason to do it, not the weight loss, not the inflammation, is because of this new medical syndrome called TDOS that I have and you have and every person in the world now. What does it mean? It means toxins or toxicity driven by the lack of nutrition in our food, overweight, and stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. patent office. Oh, Peter Greenlaw. Oh, actually, that's me. I did discover it. So for all my critics that love to come on and take me on, how many registered trademarks do they have? And I'm not trying to brag, but I want you to understand I've spent 20 years of my life as a nutritional researcher, and for 22 of those 23 years in the medical world, all of this, these before and afters, anecdotes, meant zero, absolute zero. Can we get some more taps? We're at 450 already. Please give me some more taps. So Adriana, does that make sense to you? Do you have any questions about that at all? Because it's really important that you understand. And then, Adriana, if you like what you've heard, you can see right above your head in blue the New Health Conversation. You simply go to Google or your search engine, type in the New Health Conversation. I just want you to see the website so you know that I'm not making things up, that you're going to go there and we're going to try and sell you something. There's nothing to buy on that website. The only thing on the website is the medical proof, including an interview. You'll see it there, #1 exclusive podcast with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, the #1 person. And he says in the interview, his team will never recommend to any patient ever again any form of traditional diet. He said, Peter, it would be unethical. We just spent 40 years to find a solution up. Adriana, this is the solution. And it's free to go there. And the thing about it is that it is a little bit complicated. So let me come back for a moment. Also, you notice it says free coaching. That's not a gimmick. People say, how much is the consultation? I'll tell you how much it is. 0. How much is the coaching? 0. See, people, I mean, especially on social media, they come on and they want to criticize me and say, well, he said a lot, but he didn't tell us the whole thing. This is complicated, all right? But that doesn't make it not a doable, because the other thing, the research, not us, but the people who created this, who have no products, they don't sell anything, so they have no vested interest other than they want their research to help the world, right? But they created this, Adriana and everybody else, called the Blueprint for Success. This is what they actually gave to the patients in the studies. And these yellows here are daily videos from the researchers explaining to you, this is how it works, why it works, this is why you want to do this, and why it's safe. The most important thing, why is it safe, right? So it really, it's about 50%. Yeah, 50% is what you're going to eat or consume, but the other 50% is how you do it. But we got coached. Adriana, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. Does that sound like something that might work? And you have no risk. If you go to the website, I promise you on my kids' lives, Adriana, we're not going to contact you. And I don't know you. I have no idea. Because the other thing, Adriana, you need to understand, we have people who want to gain weight. We have athletes. We have a kid as young as 2, or kids as young as 2. We have a lady 91. We have people with no thyroids. We have a guy with a heart transplant. We have a guy with a kidney transplant. We have people with no gallbladders, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any medical diseases. That's not what we do. All we're doing is sharing with the world what's in these 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Because otherwise, how would you find out about it? Because the scientists, that's not their gig. Well, they are getting interviewed on some of these huge medical journals and things now. They're getting the recognition in the medical world. But listen, we have 2.5 billion people worldwide overweight, and 1 billion of those are clinically obese. And you know what they said in the study that was done where they found this in the Lancet, the #1 medical journal in the world? They said making obesity. Now, I just told you, 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, so it's not the United States anymore, right? Making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. What? Yeah, because they said they're lacking the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, and the botanicals necessary to optimize your health. They did a study on obese children about 10 years ago, and they found that 25% of the kids they analyzed were suffering from rickets and scurvy. Those are diseases of malnutrition. See, pebbles in the morning is not the answer. That's a temporary sugar high. But your body goes through that really quickly. You need nutrition that's sustainable. That's also why none of you can, when you lose this weight, about 25 to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle mass. Somebody has to tell you the truth. I guess that's me, and I get a lot of pushback. Let me just say that, a lot of pushback. But the whole key to this thing is education. It took them, the researchers who did this, it took them 40 years to discover that calorie counting is dead and over with. Andrea, oh my gosh, we have several people with lupus. We've got people with all kinds. Now look, again, I want to be clear, Adriana. We're not curing, treating, diagnosing, or preventing any medical diseases. But do I think this could help you? Oh my gosh, yes. So more than anything else, if you go to the website, Adriana, make sure you type in, because I want to get you someone who's familiar with those conditions. Because we have a lot of coaches. We got medical doctors, we got RNs, registered nurses, PAs, dietitians, nutritionists, etc. And we've had great success overall. So again, Adriana, you go to the website and the coaches will give, it's not just the food list, Adriana. The food list is, yeah, that's it. But they're going to show you how to buy directly these exotic foods around the world. And then they're going to teach you how to consume them. And especially when you got those kind of challenges on. But we have all kinds of people with no thyroid. So we have people with goiter and hyperthyroidism. I know for all of you, including you, Adriana, it sounds too good to be true. But Adriana, you willing to take the chances? Is it real? Because obviously, whatever you're doing now, I don't think it's probably not serving you. I bet you're having a terrible time trying to lose weight. Am I correct? And keep in mind, okay, so Adriana, let me ask you something. If you'll be participating, I love audience. Look, everyone, it's live. You can tell, all right? Maybe you want me to go away, but I'm not going away because someone has to be your advocate. Someone has to stand up for all of us and say, you know, what we're doing, it just isn't working. What does work? What can work? What will work? We all got coached. In my case, it changed my life, probably saved my life 23 years ago. So, okay, good, Adriana. And so the coaches, and Adriana, do you see, guess how much the coaching is, Adriana? 0. Guess how much the consultation is? 0. You know, the reason I'm having to do this is people actually put it in the chat, even when I tell them, does it, Adriana, am I wrong? In black, does it say free coaching? And they're asking me, how much is the coaching? Oh my goodness, it's really fun some days. You know, I try and do 3 to 5 of these live podcasts a day, anywhere from an hour to up to 3 hours sometimes, depending on how many people interact like what you're doing. You were right, laugh out loud. Yeah, I agree. But look, let me put it to you a different way. I put it to everybody. If we're really honest about it, does anybody think they're really living their optimal life? Or are you settling for, and you hear this all the time, as you get older, it's harder to lose weight and whatever. But Adriana, how about this guy in his 60s? Adriana, how about 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days? It's almost like we faked it. It's like, oh, that's Photoshop. No, it's not. It's real. But Adriana, look at how encouraging his blood work is. He's a diabetic, obviously. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. But look at those triglycerides, from 242 to 124 in 30 days with no exercise. Adriana, why wouldn't you go to the website and look at the medical proof? Because we're not going to contact you. We did it on purpose. If people go there and they're not convinced by the medical science, then there's no point in us trying to convince you of anything, because we're not going to do it anyway. We'll answer all your questions, and you'll probably have more questions once you see what's there. But there's no products to buy. And then my friend's daughter, everyone, sick. Well, here's the title. She lost 60 pounds in 90 days, and she lost weight without counting a single calorie. No calorie counting. What? Yeah. Now do I have all of your interest? How did she do it? I'm going to keep it a secret. No, not really. I'm going to tell everybody here in just another moment. I'm just waiting for some more people to come on. Yeah, that is my TikTok. But that's not the website. The website is no spaces, the new health conversation. Can you see that there? And it's really funny on TikTok. We actually spelled conversation wrong. It's actually conversation, but on my TikTok handle. But they still get there if they type in, God, I want to stay longer. I have to clock in work. When will you be back on? Adriana, let's see. I normally try and do them. So right now it's about 8. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Let's say I'll do another one in an hour or two. But you can go to my website. I think you'll get notified if you go there. See it at the New Health Conversation. That's my TikTok site. But in the meantime, do you have the website? Did you write it down, Adriana? The New Health Conversation. Just give me a yes that you see it, you wrote it down, and you know where you can go in case you don't get back on one of my lives. And obviously, also, I can tell you on my website, on my TikTok, I've got over 1,200 videos. Most of them are 10 minutes, but on all kinds of subjects around this, about calorie counting and diets and exercise and all kinds of things. There's even a 4-part series with the #1 weight loss researcher in the world. We just did it a week ago. It's 4 parts, talking about why calorie counting is dead over stop counting calories. It's really fascinating. It's not by me. I'm not the top weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. But we would love nothing better than to be able to help. Great, Adriana. All right, have a good day at work. And if you can tune in later, that's fine. But also that website, Adriana, it's got a tremendous amount of information. So you should be in good stead, but I'd welcome you back at any moment, okay? So everybody, we're only at 459 likes at 42 minutes. Not so great. Let's get some. So that's 10 likes per minute. We can do better than that, I know. Unless you don't like the content, then don't tap on the screen. Now, who else would like to ask me a question? This is more the norm, okay? But I'll tell you this. They're averaging around 5 pounds a week on this with no calorie counting, no exercise of any kind. Not because the research is against exercise, but because if they would have introduced exercise, then you say, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with diet and exercise. So it is the same person, actually. It's absolutely the same person. I get that a lot. Do you think this is the same person then? Or is that fake too? What do you, Cali girl, gal, sorry. How about that? Is that a different person? Oh, she's taller. No, it's a different place. Look on the left, there's a lamp. She's in a lamp store or something. And then on the right, see the smoke detector. It's the same. It's my friend's daughter. I mean, if you think I'm that dishonest, then you're on the wrong podcast, first of all. And the other thing that's so unique, we've got 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies proving this is for real. Nobody else has that on the whole social media network. No one has 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. And I didn't do them. They're not mine. I'm the researcher bringing it to you to say this is what's possible. Well, or how about this? Is that the same person? 35 pounds in 37 days? I get this all the time because it's so crazy that people, but I always say this, just because it wasn't invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. Listen, Cali girl, this was invented or discovered, created by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They did 40 years of studies on humans, 100 studies, thousands of people, and they proved you lost weight on whatever diet you were on, but 2/3 of people gained back more weight than they lost. So again, Kelly girl, do you think that? And then this is a good one here. Curtis, this guy's 60 years old. How about 40.8 pounds and 52.5 inches? Look at his neck even. Look at how much his neck changed. That's 30 days with no exercise. And again, look at his blood work, unless you think we're lying. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4, his triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days with no exercise. No one was allowed to exercise, Cali gal. You don't have to believe it, but it's true. And we even provide you, to put our money where our mouth is, we provide you with a free medical website. If you go there, we won't even contact you. The only thing on that site is the medical proof backing up everything you're looking at right here. So who else would like to ask me a question? We're stuck at 459 likes. Come on. If you'd be so kind as to tap on your screen, tap, 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 tap. Let's get those likes way up there, right? So who else would like to ask me a question? Or maybe you just want to know how in the world did she do that? Has nothing to do with counting calories, has nothing to do with exercise. It is not a diet. First and foremost, it's a detox, and I promise I'll explain that in a few moments. But I'd love for anybody so that I don't think I'm just talking to myself. Maybe I am. But who would like to know how she did that? That's not photoshopped, everybody. It's not AI. It's not a photo hack. It's actually the real, what actually happened. And again, now to give you even further evidence, okay, on June 9th of this year, in the #1 women's magazine in the world, Women's World, the two women you're looking at there, I coached them. The daughter is a nurse. She's 57 years old. She lost 50 pounds in 3 months. The mom, who's 80, lost 90 pounds in less than a year, and they both have kept it off for 3 years. This is not some short deal. Now, you don't get on the cover of the #1 women's magazine in the world if it's fake. You can see their over 50 protein miracle. And if you look in further, it says, powerful new eating pattern can take off weight faster than anything else you've tried. They wrote that headline. They even wrote it's a news story for them. They wrote a huge article in the magazine. Let me show it to you here. Just so you don't think I'm making things up, because we only quote from real sources. We don't give you opinions. So here's the article, everybody. It's sold out in the grocery stores pretty quickly. New protein miracle diet. That's the magazine saying that. But I know you can get it online. If you go online and order it's June 9th, because it comes out like every week. It's the June 9th issue. Very important that you understand that. So again, who would like to ask me a question about this? EJ sent me a rose. Thank you, EJ. That's really nice of you. Adriana sent me a rose. That's really nice of you. Angela Hortzman and One Cool Dad and user 325, welcome. Thanks for coming on board. Can all of you, any of you, tap on that screen to get some likes? We're only at 459. I know we can do way, way better than that. So is everybody shy this morning? You think, you just don't believe it. You think it's not true. But it is true, and it's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. So who else would like to ask me a question? So we're waiting for more people to come on, apparently. And some of you are jumping off because you don't think it's real. You think maybe it's fake. It's absolutely real, everybody. It's not photoshopping. It's absolutely real. It's absolutely real. So I'm going to wait. I'll go maybe another 10 minutes. It'll then be, what's it going to be, 9:08 on the East Coast. That's just approximate, But who would like to ask a question about this? Or how did she do this? How about 60 pounds in 90 days? She lost weight without counting a single calorie. Example of the protein. The protein is a, how can I explain it to you? First of all, let me explain something about protein that's really important you understand. The whole thing around protein is there's two factors in protein. One is the absorption of the protein. You'll hear things like, an egg is like 95% of the protein's absorbed. But to let you know, that doesn't mean anything to your body, the amount of protein that's absorbed. What matters is what's called the utilization. So this is the best way I can explain it to you. If we look at a plant-based protein, which again would have about a 95% absorption of the protein inside the plant, okay? And that protein houses the 9 essential amino acids and the 11 non-essential amino acids, if this makes sense. There's a total of 20 amino acids. 9 are essential, you have to have them or you wouldn't be alive, and the other 11 the body can actually make. So when we adjust a protein from plants or animals, they, in Europe, not me, Dr. Luke Morelli out of Italy, about 10 years ago, they developed a test where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, where they were able to analyze, obviously, the absorption of the protein itself. But that's not what mattered, because the protein gets broken down into the amino acids. So that breakdown is called utilization. And stop me if this gets too complicated for people. Well, I told you plant-based proteins, they have an absorption of absorption of protein of around 95%, but the utilization of the amino acids is only 15% out of 100, and 85% of what's not consumed are turned into toxins. They have a name, they're called nitrogen catabolites, urea, creatine, and ammonia, okay? Now let's talk about all meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc. Again, the protein absorption is up in the 90s, but the utilization is only 30% again of the amino acids. Well, the researchers found a source that it wasn't the protein itself. Remember, I said the body has to break down the protein into the amino acids. Well, they found through a combination of protein combined with other nutrients from the far reaches of the world where people are living in these blue zones to be 100 years old, that it was a combination of things that further broke the protein down to where the utilization of the amino acids was 91%. That's why she has no loose skin. Because they proved and by the way, she's kept that off for 8 or 9 years, the weight you're looking at there. But let's go back to Kristen. It's even a more striking example. So they were able to measure water and lean muscle mass, and instead of her losing any lean muscle, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle, because it sounds like you're pretty knowledgeable. One of the 9 amino acids, which are called essential, called leucine, is how we make muscle in the body. And the theory behind this, which they proved, was can we give you less food, but find foods literally with more nutrition? So it wasn't about getting more protein, like more steak or chicken or liver or eggs, whatever. It was about finding proteins that were made of, let's say, an animal protein, but then finding other nutrients that broke it down, almost pulverized or increased the utilization of the amino acids from, say, 30% to 91%. Now, I don't know if that helps or hurts. And again, if you go, the website is free to go to. You can see the medical proof, and you get free coaching. And those are all things that coaches can go over all those questions with you if that's not a complete enough analysis. This is food at the end of the day. It was selected by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, who also are exercise physiologists. They've worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and Olympians and athletes, triathletes and marathoners and weightlifters. But they didn't let anybody exercise. And the reason for that is that you would have then said, oh, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. See, the lesson that we all can take away from, number one, the human body has no idea what a calorie is and why people are counting calories. It's the dumbest thing we ever came up with. And I did it for years before, this came about, which I didn't create this. Somebody else did. But imagine she lost 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically just in 30 days. And her and everybody else, they measured inflammation. The first time anything has ever proved that you can bring down inflammation, which is the underlying cause of every disease out there. So whatever diet you're on isn't touching inflammation. It came down 25% in a month. But the biggest reason to do this, and obviously the protein, the absorption of the amino acids were important in this, is the TDOS syndrome, which everybody on here, including you, user 325, uses 325, and me have. T is for toxins, the D is for deficiency of nutrition, O for being overweight, S is for stress. And yeah, Peter Greenlaw, this is a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, of a new medical condition that every person on earth has. And what it basically means in simple terms is as you ingest these chemicals that we can't avoid in water, air, and food, as they come in the body, first the immune system can't deal with it, it runs because it doesn't know what this stuff is. It presents it to the liver first, and our livers now are so overwhelmed with chemicals that they estimate 25% of us have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So the liver is overwhelmed pretty quickly. Once the liver is overwhelmed, then as the toxins continue to come in the body doesn't have a choice. As last line of defense, it takes the chemical and stuffs it inside your fat cells, and those fat cells expand. See, 325, anybody telling you that you burn fat on a diet or with exercise, it's completely false. We're born with a certain number of fat cells, we die with a certain number of fat cells, and the only way to reduce fat is either liposuction or surgery, not from diet or exercise. So that's the first big lie people are being told. So the key becomes that this protocol, they measured blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle. They proved that this was assisting the body in removing chemicals from the fat cells. Well, you can see it in her waist. Look at day 1. Look at her hips and her waist, and then look at day 30. That's with no exercise, no sit-ups. Now, you can think it's Photoshop, but then you're only cheating yourself because you're allowing your skepticism, which I applaud. I support it. I get it. But we're giving you a free website. And I'll show you the website just so you don't think that we're making things up, because we're not. You go to Google, you type in the new health conversation. There it is. It'll take you right to the link. Click on the link. There's the website. There's nothing on that website to buy. Number one, you want to pay attention to is an exclusive podcast with the number one nutrition weight loss physiologist in the world, and he and his team created this. And you know what he said in the interview, along with saying why calorie counting is dead and why it doesn't work? They, as the top weight loss researchers in the world, will never recommend to any patient any form of traditional diet ever again. That's a pretty strong statement from the top expert in the world. He just said it's just fruitless. He said, we did 100 studies, thousands of people over 40 years. Oh yeah, everybody lost weight initially on every diet, but 2/3 of them gained more weight than they lost. No one could ever keep the weight off because it was based on a flawed premise about counting calories, which the human body has no idea what a calorie is. 325, do you know the definition of a calorie? I didn't 24 years ago, so I'm not picking on you. In general, I do 3 to 5 of these a day now for more than a year, 7 days a week. I've had 9 people actually give me the definition of a calorie in all that time, and all those, it's hundreds and hundreds of podcasts. Something's terribly wrong here when you're all out there counting calories and the body has no idea what a calorie even is. But it's not just me saying that, it's now major medical groups saying counting calories is dead. It's over, it's finished, including, I've got it right here, Harvard Medical School 325. Harvard, stop counting calories. They said, we've been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories 3,500 and you lose about a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. Harvard Medical School goes on to say about calorie counting. The idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says the team of Stanford obesity specialists, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's exactly what these researchers did, and they have no affiliation with Harvard, so don't hear me say that. It's not true. But then I've got a big study here from Medicare. Medicare, titled Medicare's Search for Effective Obesity Treatments, because they're trying to bring healthcare costs down. And they said, diets are not the answer. Our researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether any diet is an effective treatment for obesity. The studies show that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. Why are you all continuing counting calories when they're telling you that 2/3 of you are going to weigh more than when you started? We're just living under this false narrative that we've been told. It doesn't work. No matter how many times I say it, the science doesn't care about me. I'm not giving you my opinion. I don't give opinions. If you want opinions, there's plenty of people on social media that'll give you an opinion. But if you want to change your life, if you want to find out how did she lose 21 pounds and 38 inches in a month, How many of you would, if you're honest, now remember, she only had 30 pounds to lose. So if you come on and you need to lose 100 pounds and you lost 20 pounds, okay, that's something. But when you only have 30 pounds to lose, you can lose 20 pounds in 30 days and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle. I would hope that you're all interested in this. So Kelly Gal, again, you never answered me again. The other people. Yes, how? Okay, Staten Island mom. Absolutely how. All right, so Staten Island mom and for everybody else, okay? Now, Staten Island mom, be a little bit patient with me, okay? I'm a researcher, right? I'm only going to give you the medical facts. So let's start with who invented it. It was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, who for 40 years, Staten Island mom, did over 100 medical studies on human beings on every diet you could name. After that 40 years of research, they came to 3 conclusions that prompted them to invent this. Number 1, every person on every diet lost weight initially. Notice the word initially. They said but, and but becomes important. 2/3 of the people that we studied over all that time gained back more weight than they lost. Number 3, every person, when we measured, which they measured water weight, they did blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle mass. And sadly, every person on every diet, whatever weight they lost, 25 to 40% was lean muscle mass. That's the downfall of all these diets. Because as you begin to use your muscles for fuel, because a diet is nothing more, Staten Island mom, than reducing the quantity of food you're consuming, which by definition reduces the amount of nutrition. It has nothing to do with calorie counting. No one on here in a year, 9 people have ever given me the definition of a calorie, and yet everybody's counting calories. I have no idea why. But that was the basis of what the researchers did. They said, we're going to stop counting calories. We're going to create a new protocol. It's theoretical. We don't know if it'll work. But it was based on these principles. 1, yes, we were going to give people less food. But because we know the food or the calories don't mean anything, we're going to go find foods that will give you the list of foods with high levels of nutrition in small quantities of food. So Staten Island mom, do you get it so far? They created a grocery list that you literally would take to your grocery store. If you're in Long Island, it's Gristedes or whoever you have. I used to live in New York. That's how come I know. Anyway, it included proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. No calorie counting, none, 0. And what you would do, you get serving sizes. And it was very important the serving sizes matter. Like as far as proteins, how many ounces? Now, don't go diet scarcity. It's because you got to get that out of your mind. It has nothing to do with calories. Because those foods they pick still represent high levels of nutrition and small quantities of food, which is exactly what they needed to do. But only 30% of what you would buy in a month that you bought last month, you'd buy this month from the grocery store. The other 70%, and here's what made it work. These researchers, and we don't sell you, there's no products here. There's no lotion, potion, pill, shot, nothing like that. The other 70% came from other researchers who for 20 years had gone around the world, Staten Island mom, to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with massive amounts of nutrition in small amounts of food, including from blue zones where people living to be 100 years old and older. I want to put that in my body. So now they had the foods. So let's say we had the ingredients, and we all know if we're going to cook, what do we need next? The recipe. So let's call it the recipe. But that they call it an eating pattern. They created, and they got a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, of this new way of eating called protein pacing. What in the heck's that mean? Well, 5 days a week, you'd have 4 meals a day, starting with these nutrient-rich foods from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represented huge amounts of nutrition. No food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list. Remember, serving sizes, not calorie counts. And then a 4th meal after dinner, these nutrient-rich foods from around the world. Now, again, I urge all of you, get the diet thing out of your mind. Forget it's 4 meals. It's 4 eating patterns of the highest level nutrition in the least amount of food. And you're not going to be hungry, and I'll show you the proof in a moment. Then 2 days a week, and this will spin all of you out of control, you do 48-hour, what's called intermittent nutritional fasting, but not fasting, not water fasting, and not this ridiculous time-restricted eating, which is the biggest bunch of hot air on the planet. It's just a low-calorie diet, another way of doing low calories. That's it. So on those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world, but she ate 8 times a day. Staten Island mom, you're eating every hour and a half. Diabetics, no one had an insulin spike. And people that weighed 300 and 400 pounds, I'm not suggesting you do, so don't hear me say that. None of them were hungry. Because statin line mom, the reason we get hungry is not because of lack of calories. It's because of lack of nutrition. In a month's time, these people, their hunger came down 41%. In 2 weeks, almost all cravings were gone. See, when you're craving, it's because of a deficiency of nutrition. So what do we crave? Sugar or simple carbs. That's a temporary bandage. And it burns up pretty quickly, and then you're hungry again. So they call it grazing. No, it's nutritional starvation. That's what you're going through, all of you. They also measured, everything came down, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar. And for the first time in history, they measured inflammation. It came down 25% in a month, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any medical diseases. So don't hear me say that to anybody. So statin line mom, you could, now, but the biggest reason to do this statin line mom is not to lose the weight. Most important reason is because we all, including you and me, have this new medical syndrome. You have it whether you know it or not, called TDOS. T for toxicity, D for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, S is for stress. What it means is we're storing chemicals inside our body, whether you know it or not. You don't have to believe me. Go and Google microplastics in your brain. They're now finding microplastics in our brain and also in our coronary arteries. What else are they finding inside of us? Herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon. A principle that I want to share with all of you. We eat whatever they eat if it's a plant or an animal. So when they spray herbicides and pesticides on a plant, you eat the plant. And look, even organic has about 25% of the same herbicides and pesticides on regular food. Why? Because we have wind. So you got two fields. My right hand would be a regular field. My left hand would be organic. So the crop duster comes over and sprays the natural field, and the wind blows the chemicals or some of them into the organic. So don't be fooled. Do I eat organic because it's less polluted, not because it has more nutrition? It has a little bit more nutrition. That's why these researchers, they had done organic and clean eating for 40 years of studies. But there was not enough nutrition in the foods, even when they were organic, to allow something like this to occur. Because they were giving her smaller amounts of food, but giving her more amounts of nutrition. And as far as this syndrome, these chemicals we're storing in, what happens when we ingest them, statin line mom and everybody else, as they come in your body first presents it to your liver, the biggest filter in the body. And now they're saying 25% of us have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Look it up, Dr. Robert Lustig, Stanford University. I don't make things up. I'm giving you the facts. But then when the liver can't handle it anymore, the chemicals, as they keep coming in every day, they don't go on vacation, the body takes it as a last resort and stuffs it in your visceral fat. That's why you all complain to us, not just about how much weight you've gained, but how much fat you have on your body as a result of that. But here's the best evidence. Look at that statin line mom. Day one, look at her stomach. That's the bloating that most of you complain about, but that's your body showing you're storing these chemicals inside those fat cells, called your visceral fat. That's the fat around your organs. And then look at her on day 30. Look at her hips. Now, you can think it's photoshopped, and if you do, you're cheating yourself because you're allowing your skepticism to prevent you from having an opportunity to go look at the medical proof. On the website, you can see it right above her head there in blue, the New Health Conversation. That's the medical proof. We're not going to contact you if you go there. But if you go there and you like what you see, scroll down, you get a free coach. How much is the consultation? $0. How much is the coaching? $0. There's no charge for coaching. We got coached. You can't do this without coaching because you don't, even if we gave you, well, first of all, you wouldn't know how to buy these exotic foods from the researchers from around the world because they have all kinds of foods, but the researchers only used about 6 of their food groups in the studies, and that we want you to do exactly what they did within the studies. It wouldn't make any sense to not have you do that. Why would you do, if we have the medical proof, why would you vary from that, right? If you get a prescription from your doctor and he tells you to take 3 pills a day, do you take 1? No. So how you do this is really, really important. But the number 1 reason to do it is detoxification. The number 2 reason is to lower inflammation. Number 3 reason, it's still not weight loss, it's maintenance. She has kept the weight off for 8 or 9 years. Everybody I've showed so far is 8 or 9 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. You see these, they're nice people. They come on and they want to joust with me. They're fitness trainers, whatever, and telling me I'm wrong. Although they don't have any medical proof to back. They're just giving me an opinion that's about calories in, calories out. Again, how many of you? Hi, good morning, Amina. Wow, interesting. Staten Island mom. Yes, true. America and Aquilella? is it AG? Whatever. Yes, true. So again, Staten Island Mom. You have Staten Island Mom and everybody. I want to show you. If you want to go to the website, it's real simple. Go to Google, type in the new health conversation. Because people are like, where can I get these exotic foods? You get everything from the coaches, and they don't sell you anything. They have no products. They're going to give you a grocery list of what you get at your grocery store and show you how to buy the other. There's the website, everybody. Nothing to buy. Number one is an exclusive podcast with the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world talking about this after 40 years of research. They found the silver bullet. Don't you want to hear from him, the number one person in the world? Or are you going to listen to some influencer? And with all due respect, medical doctors, they're not trained in nutritional research. I mean, it's one thing to read about something. It's another thing to actually do the physical study in the lab, measuring blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis every week, and muscle analysis, and liver enzymes, and all the other things I measured. This is a health solution. The weight loss is just kind of a throw-in. So who else would like to ask me a question? Fing Payne gave me a rose. Thank you. Adriana gave me a rose. And we're up. Oh, we got 1,000 likes now. That's good. So Amina. Oh, that's your name, Amina. I'm sorry. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Good morning, sir. This makes so much sense. Good, nay girl. I hope I make sense of it, but I spent 23 years of my life as a nutritional researcher. This saved my life. Let me share my personal story, and I'm not telling anybody to do what I did, okay? So let's get down to brass tacks. How come I'm so damn passionate about this? Because 23 years ago, a little over 23, I walked in my doctor's office, yearly physical. My doc comes in and says, Peter, if you don't do something radically different today, you've got an 85% of a heart attack within 18 months. Your cholesterol is 400. Your triglycerides are 300, and you're 40 pounds overweight. He put me on diet, exercise, and statins. I came back 8 weeks later. I lost 8 pounds. He was really happy with a pound a week. But my cholesterol only came down 15 points. Now what do? He said, I can't give you any more medication. I was on like 1,500 calories a day. I was exercising 7 days a week. I was damn scared. I had two kids in grammar school. What the hell am I going to do? Professional football for the Oakland Raiders, in my opinion, saved my life. His name is Jim. I'll be forever grateful to him for that. I went on this. I lost 8 pounds in 4 days. I lost 12 pounds in 9 days, 20 pounds in 18 days, 30 pounds in a month, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. That's the least important part of my story. I went from a 42 to a 34-inch waist in 18 days, and I'm still a 34-inch waist 23 years later. So it was exactly 8 weeks. I go back to my doctor for a follow-up. So the first 8 weeks was on regular traditional diet and drugs. The next 8 weeks was on this new protocol called R2M. It wasn't called that in those days, but that's what it's called now. R2M, race to maintenance. My doc comes in, throws my chart, and I said, Peter, you trying to kill yourself? I said, what are you talking about? He said, how much statin are you taking? I said, I haven't touched that stuff in 8 weeks. He said, well, the lab made a mistake. I went to draw some blood and do a new test. I said, whoa, slow down. What are you talking about? He said, well, this is not possible. I said, what do you mean? My cholesterol went from 400 to 120. My triglycerides went from 300 to 30. I lost 40 pounds. I never had, well, in all my numbers, I have a physical at least once a year. They're all normal. My doctor keeps telling me, if I didn't know, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. The miracle here is your body. The thing that you're lacking is not calories, by the way. That's the most ridiculous thing anybody ever came up with. It's lack of nutrition. Your challenge is, even if you do organic, okay? They did a study on spinach, Cornell University, not me, from 1957 until today, or 2020, I guess it was. They estimate the iron levels in spinach, and I think we all would agree that spinach is supposed to be really healthy for you. Well, the iron levels have decreased by 4,300% in that period from 1957. So a bowl of spinach in 1957, today, you'd have to be between 20 and 30 bowls of spinach. Do you wonder why you're never hungry? Well, you're always hungry. And you go on a diet. Do you know that going on a diet, you increase a hormone in your body called ghrelin? And what does ghrelin do? Ghrelin tells you you're hungry. In the studies, they proved that going on a diet by counting calories and depriving yourself of nutrition raises ghrelin. You all know that. That's why you get voraciously hungry on these diets. What turns off, what tells your body you're full is another hormone called leptin. So you got ghrelin and you got leptin. I mean, I've got it right here. You should hear what the experts are saying about calorie counting now. I'll give you a few short excerpts, and then I'll explain again for the new people going, how did she do what she did? This is what they said. Sounding the alarm on calories in, calories out is the following. The calories in, calories out model is a public health disaster. This is from the top weight loss researchers in the world. Adopted by nearly 100% of dieters, yet it drives an obesity apocalypse that threatens to engulf humanity. They go on to say, these are the experts kind of summarizing why they've abandoned calorie counting. Calories in, calories out, near universal failure is undeniable. Studies in the Lancet 2021 and obesity reviews reveal that 50 to 70% of diets on calories in, calories out regain more weight than they lose. Driven by metabolic adaptations, notably the surge in ghrelin, which I just explained to you, the hunger hormone. Ghrelin, which signals hunger to the brain, spikes during calorie restriction, intensifying cravings and appetite. You understand now why you're so hungry on these diets? Because you're literally starving yourself from a nutritional standpoint. Now, why does calorie counting not work? Well, here's the medical explanation, right? They're telling you it doesn't work, but here's why, okay? The biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. What does that mean? It means that the body's adapting to, it's not really less calories that you're giving yourself, it's less nutrition. But let's keep going. So while the calories in, calories out can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight is regained. Now, the only thing that's wrong with this that they've revised later is your body doesn't count calories. It's the nutrition. Now, diet is nothing more than lowering the amount of food you're consuming, and you lower nutrition at the same time. That triggers the starvation mode in your brain. Your brain immediately stops you accessing the fuel in your fat cell and turns to your muscles for fuel. And now you're becoming unhealthy by being on a diet, because 25 to 40% of what you actually end up losing is your lean muscle mass. Not only does it slow down your metabolism, that's why you plateau. Aren't you mad? Don't you get mad when you plateau and then all of a sudden you gain all the weight back and you're terrified and you look for a new diet? Aren't you just sick and tired? The weight you're carrying around is a limitation. You're accepting it probably because you've probably tried everything and nothing's ever worked, and you said, what's the point? That's exactly it. What's the point of going on a diet and gaining more weight than you lost, or going back to where you started? You all know I'm right. You know that's what's going on. You all know the yo-yo effect. And no one's arguing that you can lose weight initially. I've got the study here somewhere. Let me read it to you about the long-term. Oh, yeah, here it is. Here's what they said, why you shouldn't count calories. The researchers found that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, we're not arguing that's not true, right? The approach, calories in, calories out, has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. They go on to say, here's another reason why they don't work. Counting calories increases chronic psychological stress and cortisol production, two factors that are known to cause weight gain. So they're all saying it, you're going on diets to gain weight because you're counting calories. And again, I'd love for someone to give me the definition of a calorie. Does anybody even know what a calorie is? I didn't. In a year's time, probably 1,000 podcasts I've done. I'm not kidding, because I do 3, 4 a day, 7 days a week in a year. You do the math. It's just a miserable failure, counting calories. It's a miserable, miserable failure. The only thing your body cares about is nutrition. 3 things that keep you alive: air, water, and nutrition. That's it. Not calories. And the people that are supporting the calories in, calories out notion, they need to stop that. It doesn't work. But you see, if we prove to you that calorie counting doesn't work, why would you go to a trainer or a nutritionist or a dietitian that's showing you how to cut calories? Why would you do that? Ask them, what's a calorie? You'll probably be shocked. I'm not bragging, well, I guess I kind of am, but I've done 1,500 live lectures around the world before COVID. I've spoken in universities. I've spoken at the University of Maryland. I've spoken at the University of Notre Dame. I've spoken at UCLA, lots of places. I've spoken in towns. I was a keynote speaker at Autism One in Chicago, the largest autism conference in the world, about 10 years ago. I've written 4 best-selling books to some top medical doctors in the world. I did 20 shows on public broadcasting, interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. And for 22 years, all of that academia that I had labored over meant zero in the medical world. Why? because there were no peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. For those of you who don't understand the significance of a peer-reviewed human trial study, you've heard scientific studies. No, not the same. You heard a clinical trial. They're doing mice or rats or chimpanzees or whatever it is. That doesn't count. The standard in medicine is what's called a peer-reviewed human trial study done on human beings and reviewed independently, not by the researchers, but by the top medical doctors and in this case, nutritional researchers in the world. And you know what their job is? To discredit what you're trying to prove. Because the journals don't do the analysis, but their reputations rest on the being able to share with the public that these are safe. Now, I know they make mistakes sometimes, but this is the highest we can go in medical investigation. Some fool on TikTok came out and said, well, there's one study, and no, there's 10 studies, you fool. I'm just sick of these people coming on and making all this chatter, this yakking, with not one shred of medical evidence. This is published in huge journals like the Obesity Journal, Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Nutrition, and Nature Communications, which, by the way, is the #1 medical journal in the world. Does that sound like it's insignificant? I'll tell you how they rank the study in just a moment. Talk about insignificant, right? The title of the study, which had nothing to do with the weight loss, but it was on this protocol, right? Gut microbiome, that's your immune system in your gut. Gut microbiome remodeling and metabolic profile improved drastically in response to protein pacing and intermittent nutritional fasting. In a month's time, they saw in your gut what you want is what's called biodiversity. It's kind of a fancy name, but if you plant a garden, you don't want to just plant tomatoes. You want to maybe plant squash and corn and some other things to create this homogeneous, community, right? Well, the same thing in your gut. Well, they saw a massive increase in the biodiversity in the gut in just a month. How many of you have gut issues right now? A lot of you. I know that like 50 million Americans are taking antacids on a daily basis. Is that really the solution? And to give you an idea how significant that study was on the microbiome, the magazine or the journal rates thousands of journal, how attractive they were. This is in the top 0.02% of all the studies in Nature Communications last year. Not 2%, not 5%, 0.2%. The significance. So the lower the number, the better it is, because that means that the other ones were much less effective. It's been cited over 9,000 times. This is real science. Now, if you believe anything else, go for it, right? So who else would like to ask me a question? Blanche G's there, uses 325. Oh, we're at 1,400 likes. Come on, everybody, let's get some more taps on there. So at any moment, what is the amino acid taken? What is, no, Michael, it's no. See, I know you're going to talk, and believe it or not, I endorse. So you're talking about myamino or pure amino. Are you talking about, I forget what the doctor's name, what's his name? I know who it is. Is that what you're referring to? I just want to make sure we're clear. It's not a tablet. It's from the food force itself. It's from the actual protein. It sounds like you know this. If you don't, I'm going to explain it to you. You hear this all the time. So if it's myamino, we think it's good, but it lacks all the other nutrients that they used as part of this. And they were able to find a nutrient source so again, there's two different things for everybody. They give you the number, the absorption of the protein. Like an egg is around 95% absorption, maybe higher. But that's not what's key. What's key is what he's referring to. The amino acids are contained within a protein. And there's 9 that are essential. You got to have them or basically wouldn't be alive. And the other 11 the body can make. But each protein contains 20 different amino acids. So you're absorbing the protein, but then the body has to break the protein down into amino acids. That's called utilization, okay? Now, to give you an idea, a plant-based protein, and this will make the vegans mad, the absorption is like 95%. But the utilization of the amino acids in that plant is only 15%. And 85% that's not absorbed is toxic waste. They're called nitrogen catabolites, urea, creatine, and ammonia, to give you an idea. All meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, are 30%. So again, if people don't have this protocol, then I would recommend something like myamino. I'm not against it at all. Of course, I'd be dumb. It's about 98% absorption. but that's all it is an amino acid. It doesn't have the other nutrients necessary. And you're not going to go on an amino acid supplement and create 21 pounds of weight loss in a month. And she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass because of that 91% of utilization of all 20 amino acids. But the one that's critical to make muscle is called leucine. That's why, for example, who was it that was asked? Michael. No one was allowed to exercise on this at all. They wore Fitbits to prove they didn't exercise. And yet she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass in a month. And she wasn't taking my aminos. So they're good, but again, you're not getting all the other nutrients. I mean, Michael, they went around the world, not these, the other research. They'd gone to Russia, Mongolia, to Tibet, South America, New Zealand to find foods in some blue zones, an example, for where people living to be 100 years old. They weren't taking my amino. They had naturally occurring utilization of the proteins, but the proteins were broken down because of interactions with other nutrients that were part of it. So it wasn't just like, hey, they had a different kind of steak. No, that's not how it worked. So I don't know if this helps or hurts, but I'm assuming you're talking about a supplement. Nay, how can you get the protocol? Do you see right above her head there in blue, the New Health Conversation? Nay, do you see that? That is the website to go to, and I'll show you. So go to Google, Nay, type in the New Health. Make sure you write it down so you have this, but it's the New Health Conversation. And you'll see in a moment, Nay. There it is. Click on it. There's the website. We want you to look at the medical proof first. Then you get a free coach that'll answer all those questions, show you how to get your food from the grocery store, 30% of what you're going to buy, and the other 70% directly from these researchers from around the world. So that's how you do it. So again, we'll come back to Kristen for a moment. So you can see it there in blue again, Nay girl, the New Health Conversation. Give me a yes if that makes sense and you can see that. So Michael, I'm still curious. Are you talking about my amino or pure amino? I mean, there's several amino acid supplements. I'm just curious, right? Yeah. See, but I'm inferring, and I don't know for sure. But when you're saying what is the amino acids taken? No, it's not. This is no lotion, potion, pill, capsule. No, this is food. 30% from the grocery store, and the list was picked by the researchers, not based on calorie counting, but based on the nutritional density. Proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. And then the other 70% came from these exotic regions around the world in Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that had these huge amounts of nutrients. See, something, for example, that you're not getting in my aminos is what are called trace ionic minerals. They're called the spark plugs of life. And I'm not talking about iron, calcium, magnesium. There's 70 that we need, 70. In the best organic, you're getting 20. See, this is where the deficiencies start. So no matter how much organic you eat, you're only getting 20 out of 70. The other 50 you're not getting. And the things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium. So again, this is a health system. It's not a weight loss protocol. If anything, it's a detox. And again, taking aminos would have no impact on removing toxic chemicals from your body. This through blood, stool, urine, fat analysis, and muscle analysis. But in terms of the toxins, they measured it. And this was assisting the body in removing chemicals from the body. That's why our stomach shrank so much. So taking aminos wouldn't have any impact on that. Now, if you're working out, you're taking my aminos, it's great. Don't hear me say I'm against it. But don't think it's a substitute for this, because it's not. And these researchers, they've worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and Olympians and NFL football players and baseball and hockey players and triathletes and you name it. They said they've never seen anything like this ever in their 40 years of research, Michael. 40 years, 100 studies, thousands of people, and they have no products. They're scientists. What was their goal? Could we find the magic bullet for obesity and weight loss? Val joined. Hello, everybody. So who else would like to ask me a question about how... Now, let me show you some other pictures, too, not just her. I mean, this is pretty amazing. This is Julie, 35 pounds in 37 days. That's not photoshopped in any way. Look at how much her body shrank. Why? Because she's detoxing. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. That's like a given. It's to detox your body, to assist your body in removing the chemicals we're all storing inside us, whether you believe it or know it or not. That's exactly what's going on. So who else would like to ask me a question? And we're stuck at 1,400 likes. Come on, let's get some more taps on that screen. I know we can get to 2,000. Wow, great. Okay, we're getting some more taps. Thank you very much. How do you detox? 7, moment 3. Okay, so let me explain to you, first of all, I don't know if you knew this or not, but as long as you don't eat too late at night, when you go to sleep, what happens is your body slows down digestion. And when that happens, your body automatically, without you doing anything, detoxes. Every night it's called autophagy. What it means in non-scientific terms, it's the body's capability to get rid of the dead cells. You don't want those dead cells to be laying around because they can mutate and turn into things like cancer, for example. So the body has a natural detox mechanism that gets turned on every single night. Now notice the key. The key is your digestion all but stops. Okay, and that's why something like, if you've heard about this time restricted eating where you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and they don't have you eat until noon the next day. What you don't understand is going through the night, as your body turns on this mechanism to detoxify you, you pretty much use up most of your stored nutrients. So when you wake up in the morning, you're basically deprived, you're in a starvation state, and your body burns lean muscle. Because I have a big study here, even in the Journal of the American Medical Association, on this, 16-hour fasting and 8-hour weaning. And they said that over the course of 3 months, people gained almost no benefit from it. They lost 2 to 3.5 pounds, and the majority of what they lost was lean muscle mass. Yes, because your body wants to survive. So when you're out of nutrition, the body, it shuts down your ability to access the fuel in your fat cell and turns to your muscles for fuel. Okay, so get that out of the way. So these researchers, I'll show you why it became a detox. They knew that one of the keys would be, so you've got less digestion going on, but we need to give you more nutrition. So they put together a grocery list that you would take to the grocery store of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables that would allow you to have tremendous amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. 5 days a week, you'd have 4 meals a day. You'd start with, well, no, I didn't tell you the other part. I'm sorry. 70% of the food is why this worked as far as detox. They found foods, these other researchers who'd gone 20 years into Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but really small amounts of food. So their theory was, if we can give the body, especially on a day when you're going to be doing a detox, almost no food at all to not involve your digestive tract, we should be able to prove that this is going to create autophagy, sort of, okay? I know it's a little bit difficult to explain it to you. But now let's talk about, they have the foods, right? 30% from the grocery store and 70% from these exotic foods around the world. Then they created 2 new ways of consuming the food. 5 days a week, you do something, you'd have 4 meals a day. You started with these nutrients in the bottom, for breakfast in the morning for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner. What you're doing there is you're building up your nutritional reserves. It's called nutritional partitioning. The simple matter means you have so much nutrition, you're not using it all, okay? Because you're going to need it, because 5 days a week, you're doing 4 meals a day, 2 days a week. Here's where the detox begins. It's called intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, be careful. It's not fasting. It's not water fasting. It's not time-restricted eating. None of those have ever produced a gram of toxin leaving the body. So they created no detox at all. So the researchers, what they did, they allowed her to eat 8 times a day. Yeah, she was eating every hour and a half. So what she was able to do was to give the body almost nothing to digest as far as the bulk of the food, and only the nutrition, which was easily used by the body without involving the digestive tract. Now listen, they measured, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, and they proved. Oh, Dave McGuire, nice to meet you, Dave. I would like to join. I hope you have joined, but I'm answering 7 Moomin's answer. So the detox was proven through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. Does that make sense to you, Mimo? Now, what I would suggest you do, you see right above her head there in blue, it's 7 Moomin 3. The new health, that's the medical website you can go to. It's free to go there. And we won't contact you if you go there. But if you do go there, notice it says free coaching. How much is the coaching? 0. How much is the consultation? 0. And the key to this, although detox is the number 1 thing, the number 2 thing is maintenance. The picture you're looking at there, or the picture like of my friend's daughter, well, it started out with that. She lost 60 pounds in 90 days without counting a single calorie. Okay? It has nothing to do with calorie counting. But they measured, she gained by losing all that weight, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, let's come back again. How do you get the information? You can go to the web, go to Google. I'm talking to you now, C. Moomin 3. Type in the new, it's got to be the new health conversation, by the way. There, click on it. There's the website. The medical proof is there for you to see. We're showing you all the medical proof up front. And if you like what you see, including a podcast, number one, it's a podcast with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, and he'll explain why they'll never, to any of their patients, to the top people in the world, they'll never recommend a traditional diet to any of them ever again. But the main reason to do this is the detox, okay? Does that answer that? Hello, David. Nice to have you with us. So, David, first of all, there's the New Health Conversation is a movement. You picked up on that. But there's no membership fee. You can be part of it by just simply doing this. Because, David, one of our biggest challenges is if you do this, you notice it says above, see where it says the New Health Conversation? That's the medical website. And then right above that, free coaching. I'm not kidding you. The coaching is free. But we're concerned that we only have so many coaches. Now, we have medical doctors and dietitians and nutritionists and registered nurses and PAs because they got coached. So we're paying it back. But many people, David, go on this and then all of a sudden their sister, their brother, their cousin, someone at work says, what in the heck are you doing? You don't have to, of course. There's no obligation to become a coach. But if you wanted to join us, you'd be welcome once you experience this. Because you're not going to be able to teach someone else how to do it if you haven't done it yourself. It's like, how would you teach someone to swim if you didn't know how to swim, right? Does that make sense? I mean, good luck with that, right? I'm going to be a lifeguard. Oh, I don't know how to tread water. That's going to probably not turn out well. But anyway, that's kind of the basis behind it. So, David, did you get a chance to hear me explain who invented this and how it works and why it works? And the fact, David, we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. No one in the world has that. Nobody. Nobody has that. And this took 40 years, 100 studies of with human beings, peer-reviewed human trial studies by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They're ranked the #1 people. And they're the ones that came up with this. After 40 years, they said, we're abandoning calorie counting. It's ridiculous. It does, because the problem is, David, I've had 9 people in a year actually give me the definition of a calorie. Heck, I didn't know what it was 24 years ago, but yet here we are all just counting calories, right? Calories in, calories out. It's total nonsense. So, David, put in the chat for me, if you don't mind, what would you like me to explain exactly what to do? I'm happy to do it. That's what I'm doing. That's why I do these podcasts. But I want you to also understand that we have the medical proof, even from people like Medicare, talking about calorie counting. Listen to this. This is the title of the study. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. That's Medicare saying that. Our researchers at Medicare reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether any diet is an efficient treatment for obesity. The studies showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, Medicare says there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. So all this nonsense we're being fed about going on a diet, you're going to be healthier, you're actually making yourself unhealthy. Because what we now know, David, in all the diets that have ever been analyzed, the weight, and everybody's losing weight, it doesn't matter what the diet is. But what kind of weight are they losing? See, here's the key. The key was when they looked at muscle mass, of all the weight on all the diets after 40 years, because they measured muscle mass every single time, the diets were, the weight they were losing, 25 to 40% was actually lean muscle mass. So if someone lost 20 pounds, 5 to 8 pounds was lean muscle mass, which slows down metabolism and slows down our immune system. So that's why I'm saying, David, that going on a diet by counting calories is actually making us unhealthy. Does that make sense? Oh my God, will it work for me? Absolutely. Well, will it work for you? Tell Seven Movement, look at this. How about 65 years old? How about 40 pounds in a month and 30 and 52 inches? Is that encouraging, Seven Movement? Look at that. He's 65 years old. No exercise. 40 pounds in a month. And look at his blood work. His A1C from 8.4 to 6.4. Triglycerides 242 to 124. David, is that unbelievable? That's not Photoshop, David. I promise you. Look at his stomach. Look at how much his stomach went down. That's with no exercise allowed, David. None. They wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. So I guess the answer would be yes. If you're 52 years old, you're a youngster, in terms of this program, because we're all fed this nonsense that as you get older, well, if you try and do this, no diet's ever produced anything like this. I'm sure, I hope you all would agree with that. You don't have to, but I mean, it's show me a diet where you're losing 10 pounds a week with no exercise and you're 65 years old. So are you excited? Moment. Oh, 7 mom in 3. I see. That's what it must mean. 7. Is it 7 mom in 3? Am I right? Ah, okay. I finally figured it out. I'm not that smart. It just takes me a while to figure things out. But 7 moment, you understand now. You can go to the website, see it right there. And if you like what you see, because we won't why would we need to contact you? If the medical proof is the medical proof, it has no emotions, unlike me, and you like what you see, then you get a free coach. They'll show you how to order they'll give you the grocery list of what you order at the grocery store. They'll show you how to order these exotic foods from around the world from these researchers. Oh, the one thing I didn't even show all of you, including you, David, is the researchers for the people the patients in their studies. They created, it's called the Blueprint of Success. These are daily videos from the researchers, not from me, showing you exactly what to do, why to do it, why it's safe. And they don't have any products to sell. So we don't sell any products. All you're buying is food, and you're learning a whole new way to consume the food. I know it sounds good to be true, but 7 mom in 3, why wouldn't you go to the website? Don't you deserve to know? Do you want to continue to follow nice people, influencers on social media? All they're giving you is chatter. They don't have any medical proof. So, well, I'm so glad at least I got that 7 mom in 3. Wow, that is pretty smart on my part. Because I kept thinking 7 movement. I didn't get it till because again I get so wrapped up in the research. But again, David, what question can I answer for you? Or maybe I've answered it already. And do you understand? At any time you can go to that website. It's free to go there. We won't contact you. And if you want, you can get a coach. Or not. If you don't have a coach, though, you can't do the program because we don't sell anything. But we want to do what the researchers did. They created this and let us use it because they want this to be successful. Now, the thing I didn't even tell all of you, including 7 Mom 3, so take your grocery bill from last month, take about 30% of it. That's what you're going to spend this month from your grocery store. But you got 70% of your budget you didn't spend yet. That pretty much is going to cover these exotic foods from around the world. But here's the big thing for 7 Mom 3 and David and everybody else. Those researchers who are going to supply 70% of the food you're going to buy, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. No questions asked. What risk are you taking? Here's your risk. You're letting your skepticism prevent you from going to that website, and you're going to fall back to keto, paleo, Mediterranean, micros, all that nonsense. None of it works. None of it works long term. And you're torturing yourself because you're reducing the amount of food you're consuming, which means you're reducing the amount of nutrition. And your brain will figure out when you don't have enough nutrition, it goes in starvation mode and shuts down your ability to access the fuel in your fat cell and turns to your muscles for energy, slowing down your metabolism. That's why you gain all the weight back. But worse, by losing lean muscle, which is the case on every diet out there, you also slow down your own immune system. So, but look, everybody, how did she lose 60 pounds in 90 days? She lost weight without counting a single calorie. How good is that? So I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. Does anybody else have a question for me before we close this down? Oh, we're at 2,300 likes. So I guess we did something good today so far. So it's now almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast. So I need to take a little bit of a break to rest my voice. So I'll probably come back again maybe in about 40 minutes. So let's say around 12:30. Is that right? Is that what time it's going to be? So it's now 10. Oh, what am I talking about? It's 10. So let's say 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll come back on and do another one, approximately. But I got to rest my voice and I got to return some phone calls and some other things I need to do today. Okay, so Dave, I'm assuming you are satisfied and you know where to go to, because I don't want to close it out and then you're left hanging. I don't do that to people. So Dave, you want to go to the New Health Conversation, look at the medical proof, and then get a free coach if you want to do this. Okay, everybody, I'm going to end this podcast. I got to rest, and then I'll be back about 12:30 Eastern Time today with another podcast. Thank you all very, very much.